What's up, nerds? Welcome to the All Things Nerd podcast. My name is Chad. I'll be one of your hosts today. Along with me is my good friend.
My name is Jake. Hi.
Yeah, he'll be the other host. This is going to be a weekly dive into really all things nerd, as the name would suggest. Today we're going to talk a little bit about WandaVision on Disney+. Kind of do a quick recap of all the episodes that have aired so far. Go a little bit deeper into everything like that. Going to speculate a little bit, talk about some Easter eggs. And then, of course, we can't ignore the fact that the Snyder Cut Justice League trailer was released today, so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Before we get into things, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors for today's episode. We've got Ray's Energy Drinks, fantastic through Rep Sports, as well as we just want to give a shout out to our good friend Craig.
Yeah, so Crybaby Craig's Hot Sauce, although he's not a sponsor on this episode, he's a friend, and I asked him permission. He said we could plug this, and we're going to drink these bloodies. Maybe some of you have noticed that there is a smorgasbord of drinks in front of us. That's what this podcast is about, is we talk about, I was going to say shit, but I'm not going to say that. We talk about stuff that we think is nerdy, and drink while we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. This is the All Things Nerd podcast. Nerd. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining in with us today. This is actually episode 1, so this is pretty exciting for us. We've been talking about this for a few weeks. Both of us have wanted to do a podcast for a long time. And it just kind of happened very naturally. But you'll notice...
We should actually say how this started was
yeah.
We would just hang out and get drunk and just naturally, as he said, talk about nerdy shit. And then we were like, drunkenly, hey man, we should make a podcast someday.
Hey, you want to do a podcast?
And so like three weeks later or so, here we are. So
yeah, so we're gonna start and end we're gonna start and end each episode with a shot of some kind of liquor, probably whiskey more often than not, just because that's what we drink. Today we're going with some Catch Fire. It's a good cinnamon whiskey. Yeah. Whew, fantastic.
Smooth.
Now, before we get into anything in this episode, we do just need to throw out a spoiler alert. We're going to be going deep into episode speculation, Easter eggs. We're going to tie things into comic book story arcs that either episodes,
future movies,
things that are already hinting at, things that we want to see.
We may also tease people who have done a little reaching on Easter eggs.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely be making
make
fun of some stupid Easter eggs.
Yeah,
and some clickbait that you'll find out there on the web.
Be funny if some of those turn out to be true after we make fun of them.
Oh, I hope that they do. But before we dive into a quick recap of WandaVision for the first 6 episodes, before we break it down, just want to talk a little bit about our good friend Craig's company, Crybaby Craig's Hot Sauce. I'll let Jake tell you all about it.
Let's link up. He's a guy. As much as I know about his story, he was working with me at some point in my life. I won't say the company we worked for, but he went to culinary school, started working at a restaurant, and he started making this hot sauce. It's fantastic. It's pickled habanero and garlic hot sauce. It goes with everything. I put it on everything. And he started making this hot sauce and putting it out at the restaurant he was working at. I don't think I can say the name of that either. And then people just started asking for it. He's very locally famous for this hot sauce, and it is amazing. Crybabycraigs.com. You can order it. It's phenomenal. And then I'll let you do whatever.
Yeah, so we're throwing it into our Bloody Marys because, like we said, we're just going to be drinking and just having fun while we talk about stuff that interests us. What better way than a bloody...
It's worth mentioning, just because this is something I'm very into, is that we are using metal and... What is this one?
Silicone.
straws because the environment is cool.
Yeah, we got to save the environment, be all sustainable and stuff like that. You can check us out online at allthingsnerdpodcast.com. It's a very simple site. We're going to add to it as we go and just kind of, build this thing organically. So, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram at All Things Nerd Pod. Facebook, All Things Nerd Podcast. And then...
we'll put all the links on...
Yeah, they'll be in the description.
Yeah.
And then, of course, because it's 2021 and we haven't fully escaped the trap for millennials, we are also on TikTok. But
it's true.
It's
right on there.
You'll get some behind the scenes stuff and like that too. But so right off the bat, let's just kind of break down, WandaVision, the first few episodes that have been released so far. Jake, break it down for us.
I mean, I feel like the first couple episodes, we don't get a whole lot of context. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but the first couple episodes are very sitcom-y, black and white. The second one, is it the second one where we kind of break out of the black and white towards the end of the episode?
Yeah, towards the end of the episode is where they start to introduce some color.
I think in the first few episodes, the most important thing, at least for me or my opinion anyway, is the commercials.
Oh,
that
hands
they show.
down.
Yeah. So the first episode would be the Stark Industries toaster.
Toaster, yeah.
Yep, which is...
I mean, everything about these commercials, they seem like... they fit the era that the episodes are mimicking very well. So, it's a 50s style commercial for a home appliance. But, as all things Marvel... These little details mean so much more than what they are. So it's a Stark Industries toaster, which seems, in the 1950s, Stark Industries, Howard Stark, before, in between military contracts, I'm sure he was doing all sorts of stuff.
I think that the point of the commercials are to show some sort of, especially in the first couple, to show some sort of trauma, something that has affected Wanda specifically traumatically.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
When they first get introduced in Age of Ultron, they hate Stark Industries because he was a weapon maker, and the weapons that he made killed their parents.
Because they were trapped in a half-collapsed building with an unexploded Stark missile shell just, inches away from them. This is Wanda and her deceased brother, Pietro.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Age of Ultron yet...
You've been living under a rock.
You haven't really been watching Marvel films, which is fine, I guess.
But this podcast may not be for you.
Yeah, it might not be for you, or if you want to get into it, it's definitely for you and welcome. And we're just going to ruin things before you get a chance to watch them.
Yeah.
Or make you appreciate it more when you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're sitting in this rubble, and there's a Stark missile shell right by their head. And it's just, they're afraid that anytime they move that this bomb is going to go off. So in the commercial, it shows the Stark toaster, and as it's toasting the bread, it starts beeping faster and faster and faster, and then the light actually turns red on the toaster, even though it's all in black and white. It's the only color in the entire episode. And it just starts blinking faster and faster and faster, just to kind of, and it's a really eerie commercial. Because of that.
I think they're all kind of eerie.
They all have some underlying creep factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's episode 1. It really just... What I really appreciated about the first 2 episodes especially is, they show the golden age of television. It's more just to pay homage to
and that's
all these fan favorite shows that have come before them. But yeah.
And I feel like it's worth mentioning that if you are watching WandaVision, and I hope you are because it's super good, the episodes go... each episode is a different decade in television. So the first episode, as we kind of mentioned already, is in black and white, and that would be, 50s, 60s television?
Yeah, 50s. They pulled heavily from, the Dick Van Dyke Show.
And the commercials follow suit. If you watch the commercials as they go. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in each episode of WandaVision, the show focuses on a show of WandaVision as a sitcom television series, and in the middle of the show, or the halfway point of the show, they play a commercial, which is also very for that time period.
Yeah, it matches the time, but it ties into the larger arc that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You'll hear us say MCU. It's the same thing. That's what it stands for. But it really ties into, the overarching theme and ties back to a lot of things and, explains a lot. But one thing that I thought that was really cool that has nothing to do with the overall story was just, reading into it a little bit about how they actually filmed the episodes. Because, nowadays with movies and TV shows, all these special effects are done mostly through computer graphics. What I thought was really cool was for especially the first episode and the second episode, as much as possible, they tried to mimic how they would do effects back then too. So if you see something floating, it looks wiggly because it's literally on fishing line, and some dude off camera is like, I got it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Episode 2?
Yeah, so...
Commercial?
Yeah, the second commercial for that is for a Strucker watch, which, it plays into the high class, it's a symbol of status. But if you guys don't recognize the name Strucker, Warren von Strucker was the scientist that basically created Wanda and her brother Pietro using what is, at the time you didn't know what it was, but now it's come out that it's the Mind Stone, which is one of the 6 Infinity Stones, which is the overarching theme of the entire.
But if you're an OG Marvel fan, you know that Wanda and Pietro are mutants originally.
But
the kids of Magneto.
But that's not a thing now because rights and Fox and
bullshit.
But they might try and fix it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
At least in some way. But so the Strucker watch looks super nice, super fancy, but at the bottom of the watch there is the Hydra symbol. So if you guys don't know what that is,
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. It's like an octopus, but it's super menacing looking, and that was kind of the symbol for this secret organization that kind of works in the shadows. And
you would recognize them from Captain America, the first Avenger. Red Skull is the leader of Hydra.
And then,
which they're basically Nazis without saying that they're Nazis.
Yeah, they're Nazis that went
the scientific.
They went more Nazi without the underlying racism.
Yeah,
they're Nazis that basically decided that they didn't want to follow the final plan, and didn't care about that Aryan perfection, but still wanted that new world order and dominance. So they kind of branched off from the Nazis.
Whew. Moving on. Episode 3 commercial would be the soap. Was it the soap?
That is when they brought in the soap. But and also, episode 3 is when they first bring in color. So now they're in the 70s.
Wasn't it the end of episode 2?
End of episode 2, yeah, and then for the last 10, 15
and then
seconds.
the full episode 3, yeah.
Yeah, episode 3 is the first episode in full color, which was also fun because it, was the 70s.
70s, yeah, at that time, yeah.
A little bit of Brady Bunch feel, especially with the interior architecture.
Yeah. And then just a little Easter egg, I guess. The wallpaper. I don't know if me and you have discussed this, but I can show you after. It's totally credited. There's a wallpaper in their living room when Wanda is walking into the kitchen. Yeah. And the building from Age of Ultron, where we first meet Pietro and Wanda, is on the wallpaper.
Oh, really? I never noticed that. I noticed that there's a print on the wallpaper, when it turns to color at the end.
It's the building that Tony infiltrates in the beginning of.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I never noticed that. We'll have to go back and look at that.
So, episode 3.
Yeah.
Commercial. Yeah, it's the soap.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about this soap. I'm going to admit that right away. Chad told me about the soap, so I'm going to let him completely take control of this one.
Yeah, so in episode 3, they show the Hydra Soak soap. It's blue soap. And if anyone here has ever watched like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, it was, I think it's season 5 when they go into the framework and basically all the different agents, their minds are kind of rewritten for part of the episode as they're living like a second reality, basically in a virtual world. But Agent Coulson, Clark Gregg, he shows up, in the Avengers, Captain Marvel. I hope that we see more of him, just even if it's in flashbacks, just because I love Clark Gregg.
Yeah, he's great.
But he's kind of a conspiracy theorist in the framework reality, where he doesn't trust the government because he thinks that they're using mind control soap, and the government in the framework is Hydra. It's as if Hydra won World War II.
Expand on mind control soap.
Yeah, so they basically it kind of also ties into the whole like Mind Stone and Wanda's powers of being able to like manipulate people's realities and minds. But in the show, he's so paranoid that if he uses the government's soap, that he's going to buy into all of their propaganda. So there's an entire scene in that series, in that season specifically, where Clark Gregg or Agent Coulson is talking about, oh, I don't use that blue soap. That's from the government. I make my own soap, so I'm not under their mind control. And it's super tinfoil hatty.
Very, very Fight Clubby.
And I love it. It's super funny. It's super unnecessary, but it fits his character so well. And then they brought back the Hydra Soak body soap for the commercial, which I just thought was absolutely hilarious. I thought it was a nice nod because basically after season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., more like season 2, because they kind of talk about and they meet up with like Lady Sif from Asgard and stuff like that.
Love Lady Sif. So excited to see her back in
I know.
What was it, Love and Thunder?
Yeah, the new Thor movie that's coming out.
Fantastic. Jamie Alexander? Jamie Alexander? I feel like I messed up her first name.
Yeah, because
Last
I feel like
name's
that's
Alexander,
the British, the British chef. Isn't that Jamie Alexander? No, Jamie Alexander.
I think it is Jamie Alexander.
There's like 1,000 Jamie Alexanders that are famous.
You have their laptop right in front of you.
Oh, yeah. I suppose I do. So
I'm pretty sure it's Jamie Alexander. I'm going to hold true to that. But then with the soap, while he's looking that up, also brings that trauma back up. I think that's the main point of these commercials, is showing, if you're watching the show, you can kind of see that Wanda is very broken. And I think that these commercials are kind of showing the traumatic things in her life that led to her mind snapping.
Yeah.
Because if you look at now, in my opinion,
it is Jamie Alexander, by the way. You're right.
Yes. Very beautiful.
Oh yeah, gorgeous woman.
Yeah, blow that up.
Fantastic, fantastic actress.
Yeah.
Do we have something of her as Lady Sif?
Right there. Bam. First Thor movie. Yeah. Great. We're going to try to fly through the first few episodes here. Episode 4 was our first episode that we did not get a commercial because it was outside of, again, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, but in the show Wanda has created a force field. I don't know if that's what they're calling it. What do they call it in the show?
They're calling it the Hex.
The Hex.
Because it's hexagonal shaped, but it's basically a
force field.
Yeah, it's a force field
around a small town.
That she's basically created like a utopian, perfect suburban life for her and Vision.
Yeah. So episode 4 is the first episode that we see outside of the Hex. And we get some familiar faces. Darcy and Agent Jimmy Woo.
Agent Jimmy Woo from the FBI.
And we got to throw up the magic trick because we have to talk about it. If you are a Marvel fan, you know Ant-Man 2. Ant-Man has been in house arrest for a long time, and he's learning close-up magic with card tricks and stuff like that. And the first thing that we get to see Jimmy Woo do in episode 4
is a close-up magic trick with his business card, just flicking it basically out of nowhere to hand his card off to Monica Rambeau.
Because in Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man does it with a playing card.
And it just blows Agent Woo's mind.
And he says, "How did you do it?" And Scott thinks that he's talking about how did he pull off getting out of the house with his...
Yeah, how did he break his house arrest without getting caught?
But he really meant the close-up magic.
He really meant, how did you do that card trick?
And then we get it when we finally see him again after Ant-Man 2. He has mastered the card trick and pulls out his business card. Which I wish I knew how to do the magic trick. That would have been a great part for the video. If I had just done it like bam.
To know how to do it.
I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was a cool plug or callback, I guess, to Ant-Man 2. And so that was the first episode that we got to see without that. But it's also the coolest, in my opinion, the coolest episode that we've gotten of, or even Marvel Cinematic MCU video that we've gotten since Endgame, where we get to see what happened when the people who blipped away came back. That's how the show starts, is Monica's face like coming back together.
Yeah.
After...
And what is the blip for people that
so
might not know it as the blip?
So the blip is when, so in Endgame, if any of you, not Endgame, Infinity War, at the end of Infinity War, Thanos snaps his fingers, killing half of not just humanity but all life on Earth to
and
give
the
it,
universe.
The universe to give a balance to the universe, and thinking that people who were starving would no longer starve. There would be enough for everybody else, which is not the worst idea. Don't put that in the show.
It's a dark solution. But the more I drive in rush hour traffic, the more I get it.
But in Endgame, again, spoiler alert, Robert Downey Jr. snaps his fingers, bringing everybody back.
Well,
but
Hulk does it to bring everyone back.
You're right. My bad. I'm sorry. You are totally.
It is your bad, but it's fine.
Bringing everybody that was gone back, but it would be 5 years in the future. So anybody who disappeared at the time Thanos snapped, when they come back, they're the same age that they were when they blipped away. That's what they call it in Spider-Man 2, Far From Home. They call it the blip. Everybody came back that disappeared, and now they're the same age, but everybody that didn't blip away is now 5 years older. But we never get to actually see it happen. I think no, they don't show it in Spider-Man.
They do, but it's not as dramatic. It's literally they
people
show
just showing back up.
Yeah, you just see like a puff of dust, and then there's people standing there.
So in episode was it 4?
Yeah, in episode 4 when they show it, they kind of do it in slow motion, at least
and it's
for
like
Monica.
And it's the first thing that you see in the episode.
Yeah, it's how
there's no explanation. There's no opening credits. It's just all of a sudden these dust particles just start coming together and forming a face.
Yeah,
and it's Monica, and she's running through a hospital. She's in the hospital because... Should I say it? I feel like I shouldn't say it. Spoiler alert?
Yeah,
because...
spoiler alert, because her mom, Maria Rambeau, if you've watched Captain Marvel, is Carol Danvers' best friend. And she goes on to be a founding member of SWORD, which is a huge component of WandaVision anyways.
You kind of get a glimpse of that at if you watch the second end credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home, you see they don't explain what it is, but if you're nerds like this guy and I, you know that is SWORD headquarters, where you see Nick Fury is in outer space with the Skrulls on space station.
Yeah, it's one of their space bases.
Yeah,
because they do have a headquarters on Earth for like terrestrial missions and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of the first introduction into SWORD, and then WandaVision really dives deep into it.
Actually bringing us the name SWORD, which we didn't get in Spider-Man.
Yeah, and describing what it stands for, which is different from the comics. Oh my god, I can't even think what it is off the top of my head. But it's like sentient weapon.
Oh god, I have no idea.
Operations, research and development, something like that. Division in junk.
Yeah, in junk. That's part of it.
LLC. But so she comes back. She's in the hospital because, when Thanos snapped his fingers, she was in the hospital with her mom, Maria, who had just undergone surgery for her
Who you would
cancer.
know from Captain Marvel. She was the Carol Danvers. Was it Carol Danvers?
Yep,
Carol Danvers. I knew that. I was second guessing myself. Carol Danvers, pilot, best friend, and she is, and I'll let you take back over. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So she's there, but when she wakes up, her mom is no longer in the hospital bed next to her. So Monica starts freaking out, like, where's my mom? What's going on? So the scene just follows her running through the hospital.
The coolest scene ever. I love it.
Oh, it's such a great scene. Because, she's running, and all of a sudden someone, like, undusts right in front of her.
And she just bumps into
And they just, like, run into each other because it's just so
like, she'll be
random.
looking over her shoulder after running into one person, and then turn around and run into somebody else who just formed right in front of her, like out of thin air.
And it's just absolute chaos.
Epic.
And this is kind of where they explain to the non-Avengers that 5 years have passed.
Yeah.
Because she's wondering where her mom is. And, one of the doctors is like, well,
who recognizes her.
Yeah,
he stops her and is like, where have you been? And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and she's like, where's my mom? She's like, honey, your mom died 3 years ago. And she's like, no, she had surgery yesterday. You said it went fine. It went well. And the doctor's like, no, the cancer came back. Your mom passed away 3 years ago. But that was 2 years after you disappeared.
Yeah.
So kind of given that, 5 years have passed and all these people that are now returning, they don't know that any time has passed.
Yeah.
So it kind of also adds that element
You kind of get to see that a little bit
confusion
in Spider-Man a little bit.
Yeah.
You get that, like, Flash Thompson on the airplane.
Oh,
He's got, like, the champagne in his hand, and he's kind of giving Peter shit. And MJ goes, oh, man, technically he whipped, so he's
only 16,
not 21. Pretty funny.
So I don't even know this girl.
Yeah. Great.
So that's the opening scene of episode 4. And it really just kind of dives more into what's happening in the real world outside of the WandaVision sitcom, which is like that secluded town.
Yeah.
And
the whole episode is outside of the Hex, which is why in that episode 4, we don't get the commercial. So there's nothing to explain commercial-wise there.
Yeah, I think they replay part of one of the commercials just as...
Oh, yeah, they do, because Darcy is watching.
Because Darcy figures out that through the Hex, there's actually a broadcast signal being shown to the outside world. So they tune in, and that's why it's like this sitcom.
Can we just mention also how awesome Darcy is? What's Kat Dennings?
She's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
That was not planned. She is hilarious. And I would say that I kind of have a crush on Darcy or Kat Dennings based on her Marvel appearance. I don't think I ever really, no offense to her, she's very pretty, but I just never really got attracted to her until Darcy.
I didn't really give her much credit as an actress before Marvel.
She really stepped up her looks, I feel like, in WandaVision, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks good.
Yeah.
Not to be creepy.
No, creepy. Definitely creepy.
Yeah, this will probably get edited out.
No.
Some of it.
She's very pretty. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. And there's also talk about a spin-off series of... And this, I don't know. This isn't credited. This is just something...
so speculative.
Yeah.
But I want it so bad.
But potentially we could see a Jimmy Woo and Darcy X-Files type spin-off where the two of them would explore or investigate I guess weird cases that have Marvel
supernatural-esque, unexplainable instances that happen.
But you can imagine it would be hilarious with both of those characters.
Between Kat Dennings
funny.
and Randall Park, those guys are just hilarious. And that would just be... I hope that would be wonderful.
I would be so into that.
I would just watch, even if they were just cast in an X-Files-esque show that wasn't MCU related, but it was both of them, I would still watch it just because they're so funny.
So funny.
And
especially
just
we'll
their
get there.
personalities.
There's a part I want to mention, but it was in the latest episode, and I'm gonna wait till we get there
Okay.
because we're only on episode 4 right now.
Yeah.
So I'll let you open up episode 5.
Yeah. So then episode 5 gets us back into the sitcom, but it's kind of a
Little bit of
hybrid
both.
because it shows a little
Yeah.
bit of what's going on outside.
I think from now on it's gonna be inside and outside of. The
I think so
hex.
too. Now that they've actually kind of like bridged that gap.
Yeah.
And that's where you really start to see that, things are changing.
Yeah.
It's always been kind of a question like, what's going on inside the hex? Who's in control? It almost seemed like it was a prison for Wanda and Vision.
You also get a very confrontational scene between Vision and Wanda. At some point in the show, you get to see that Vision, actually not just in episode 5, in a few episodes, you get to see Vision is catching on to the fact that this is not reality.
Yeah.
And in episode 5, you finally get to see Vision really, really get into the fact that some weird shit's happening.
Yeah, and that it's just not right.
He confronts Wanda about it at some point, and
This is going to be a quick throwaway also. They had kids.
oh shit, yeah, that's
We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't know, yeah. If you know the comics, Wanda and Vision have kids. Do we talk about?
We can dive into that more when we break down.
We'll get over there. Yeah,
episode 6.
They have kids. We'll leave it alone for now. We'll get into it. And they have kids, twins, just like Wanda and her brother were also twins.
Mm-hmm.
Wiccan and
Speed
yeah.
are their superhero names.
names.
They're made up names,
Yep.
if you will.
Billy,
Billy and Tommy
Maximoff.
are their actual names. In episode 5, they start out as babies, and just because of the weird
Shit.
magic voodoo shit, that's going on, by the end of the episode, they're like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And they're Wanda and Vision start off the episode, trying to navigate what it's like to be parents.
And you can kind of notice too that the kids are. There's something there.
Yeah, that this is before like we know if they have
For sure,
powers or not.
But especially when they're babies too, they show one of the kids has a birthmark on his forehead. They don't really show it a whole lot, but it's in the episode. I don't know.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did not notice that. But they're also impervious to Wanda's like mind control powers,
which is amazing.
which also stands to show that they're not being held captive, like they're just organic parts that have just
Which raises the
come into
question, because if you saw Endgame, you know that Vision is dead.
yes.
And he's also, before that, he's also a robot.
Yeah.
So he can't...
Well, he's a synthezoid.
He does not have a penis.
He could probably make a penis.
Oh, he could make a penis. Or Wanda could make one for him. But then she would be
a
like...
magic penis.
But then she'd be like Cartman's mom, and she would be like the father and mom.
Magic penis.
Sorry.
Magic hermaphrodite.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Anyways, so the the kids are real. They are not a figment of anyone's imagination. They are real. They have not. We still have 3 to 4 episodes. They say there's 9 episodes to WandaVision, but
There's speculation that there's a secret 10th.
which may just be a double episode.
Yeah.
For the finale or something like that.
That's probably what I would assume.
Hopefully. Point being is that there is a few episodes left, and we don't know exactly where the kids came from yet, unless you're people like Chad and I, and we know already, but we won't ruin that for you.
Yeah, you kind of have to dive more into the comics for that aspect.
And they may not follow the comics. There are some things in the Marvel movies that they don't follow suit exactly with the comics, and that's totally fine.
Absolutely, and that would be I would be down.
That
with
would actually
too.
be really cool, because then we would be wrong, and that would be kind of cool too. So,
but the big shocker at the end of episode 5 was, as now that the kids are like 10 years old.
don't spoil the very end yet.
Okay.
Because I was building up to the confrontation between Wanda and Vision.
Okay. Yeah.
And and we kind of got sidetracked. But yeah, so Vision is noticing through the episodes that something is very off.
Yeah.
And towards the end of WandaVision, episode 5, he confronts Wanda about it. It's a very cool scene. They get a little heated, and definitely they both end up flying in the middle of their living room. Vision with his hands out, and Wanda with her hands lit up. I feel like they were lit up.
They were lit up, yeah.
Lit up and very Wanda-y.
Yeah, more like the Wanda that we know from the movies, not like anything we've seen in the show yet. Basically,
Vision catches on to the fact that Wanda is holding people here. This whole town of people, they're real people, and they are
being... A town of like 3,000 people.
And they're being brainwashed to believe that they're in this sitcom that has been controlled by Wanda.
Yeah.
During the argument between Wanda and Vision, there is a moment where Vision suggests that maybe Wanda didn't know at first that she was running things there, basically, but at some point caught on and now is
just kind of going with it.
Yeah.
Like maybe at first she didn't realize that it was...
But it was easier
fake.
Than facing reality, and now she's going with it.
Yeah.
So they get into an argument, and looks like they're about to fight,
more
but
of a
they
screaming
don't.
match. Because, like...
Vision's still Vision. Vision wants to help people. And Wanda has kind of lost that a little bit in this series.
Yeah, but also, like, in all the things leading up to... this point in time, like anytime that Vision has appeared, he's always been calm and collected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's basically an android.
Yeah.
But they mentioned, you know, in Infinity War, and even a little bit in Civil War, that, you know, Vision is like growing. He's learning.
He's evolving.
He's basically becoming. He's picking up more and more on like human tendencies, like human emotions even. And then it all comes to this point in the episode when him and Wanda kind of start to argue, and he yells.
Yeah. And levitates off the ground.
Yeah.
In which Wanda's response to that is to light up her hands and also levitate off the ground.
And you just feel like this aggression between them, which is like super unheard of just from any of their previous reactions, even in the movies. But also, it seems so out of character for Vision.
We didn't mention the commercial for episode 5. Lagos.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, finish what you're saying. Sorry, edit that out. I don't mean to interrupt.
That was really about it. That's all I really had to say about it, was that, like, it's not just... They're not just, like, hovering and, like, going back and forth. Like,
they look like they're about to fight.
Yeah, it looks like they're about to fight, and it's, you know, a heated, like, screaming match. Which is something that we've never seen from Vision in anything. Like
no, ever.
He's even keeled through and through. But yeah, to backtrack, the commercial for this
episode 5 commercial.
Episode 5.
We really wanted to make a point to address the commercials and clear up confusion, because I think even between Chad and I, who are huge nerds, hence the podcast, the commercials can be a little confusing.
Yeah.
Without a little
there's
context.
A whole lot more to them. And when we get into episode 6 in a few minutes, you'll even see that, like, our understanding of each of the commercial was different.
I thought I knew. We'll get into it in a minute.
Yeah,
We'll get there. Episode 5 commercial is for a paper towel called Lagos brand, and they're cleaning up, and I think, I'm not going to quote exactly because I don't remember perfectly what they said, but it's for cleaning up messes or accidents that you didn't intend to make or something like that.
Yeah. I think it's messes.
And then the Lagos brand is actually the name of the city in... Is it Nigeria?
I think it is in Nigeria.
In the beginning scene of Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
There's the fight between Captain America and Crossbones, who is Frank Grillo. And at the end of the fight, there's a bomb, and Wanda basically lifts the bomb into the air with her powers, and it blows up on the side of a building, killing some civilians.
Yeah, she basically was trying to save people by containing this bomb and throw it into the sky so it didn't blow up in the middle of the crowd that they were in. But she ends up throwing the bomb into an office building, basically.
And that's where the Accords come from, is that the heroes need to be held accountable for their actions because although they are helping people, they are doing damage as well.
Yeah, they're causing
civil
mayhem.
war. That's what the whole movie premise of the movie is. But anyways, so she kills a bunch of people by accident, and the name of the city that she did this in was called Lagos. So the Lagos brand paper towel was cleaning up messes or accidents that you didn't mean to make, which would be her creating a mess by accidentally killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, because she's trying to save people, creates a mess by killing other people, and then
ultimately saving more lives than would have been lost if she had let it blow up where it was.
But then with that, I mean, the entire Sokovia Accords is cleaning up the mess.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's pretty much that commercial for episode 5.
And then the big reveal, episode 5, last 5 seconds of the 10 seconds of the show. Take it away, Chad Hilson.
Yeah, so the doorbell rings in the middle of Wanda and Vision's heated argument.
Towards the end of it, they're grounded at this point, right? They're back on the ground, or no?
Yeah, I think they are back on the ground at this point.
Yeah.
And, they're still talking, but it's still a lot of tension.
Heated, yeah.
And...
Ding dong.
Ding dong.
Who's that, Wanda?
Yeah, Vision.
Oh, man, we could totally screenplay this between you and
Vision is just super skeptical. He thinks that this entire thing is scripted to change the subject because he's now.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because
he would have thought that she did that to distract from the argument.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Because now that he's in on it, on the fact that it's not real.
See, that's why I feel like we should have mentioned the part at the office because that shows context to him catching on to the fact that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little late now, whatever, but sorry.
My bad.
That's my bad. Actually, I shouldn't have even brought it up at this point because now you have to edit that out.
That's fine.
I'm just keeping you busy. Yeah.
Gives me something to do. So, doorbell rings. Vision's like, who is that?
Who dat?
Wanda's like, I don't know. And he's like, you didn't do this? And she's like, no, I didn't do this. So they go to the door, or Wanda goes to the door, opens it.
Who is it?
Well, first she is in shock.
Yes, they show her face.
She doesn't necessarily recognize the person completely. It shows the back of the person's head, and it looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson, a.k.a. Quicksilver from Age of Ultron.
Technically, in Age of Ultron, he's not called Quicksilver because they didn't have the rights, so he would just be Pietro
Maximoff, her twin brother, who died in that film. So he's been dead for 15 years. 10 years. Somewhere between 10 and 15.
Well, a while.
Yeah. He real dead.
He did.
And then it kind of pans around because from the back it looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. Pans around to the front and it's Evan Peters.
Which is...
who played Quicksilver in the Fox
Productions. X-Men series, yeah.
So it's Quicksilver in the X-Men films. His name is Peter Maximoff, but it's Pietro, but it's not Pietro.
Yeah.
And he makes a couple comments like, "What? No love for your long lost bro?"
And that's it. It's boom, curtains, right?
Well, just about. And then it shows Darcy.
Oh, right.
Who's watching, the actual broadcast, and she's
recast? Yeah.
She recast her own brother.
Yeah.
And then that's basically the end of the episode.
Yep. Sidebar.
Yeah.
Evan Peters was... we talked about this a little off screen here, but Evan Peters was a way cooler Quicksilver than Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, hands down.
Not Aaron Taylor Johnson's fault or Marvel's fault. Well, maybe a little Marvel's fault.
Well,
they didn't just...
Fox did it first, so...
They just didn't give him the scenes that he deserved.
Yeah, they gave him the CW Flash treatment. Sorry, that's the garbage chute.
I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. They gave him the CW Flash treatment, so when he runs fast, it's just kind of blurred lines behind him, and then he's gone.
But Evan Peters' portrayal of Quicksilver in the X-Men movies is so dope.
Some of the greatest slow-mo scenes.
He's got two.
Ever.
Well, I guess he had 3 great scenes, but his one gets cut short in Apocalypse whips his ass. But in the 2 movies prior to that, he has the first scene was the school blows up, and
the first one was at the Pentagon in Days of Future Past.
Was it? No. Was it?
Yep. Because then the next one is an Apocalypse, and they
when
try
he goes
to,
to
give
the
him 2
school.
Scenes. Yeah.
Oh shit! I mixed those 2 up.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Epic scenes. They slow everything down, slow motion. It's like probably like a 5-minute scene where he is I guess the Pentagon one is he is saving everybody in the room. They're breaking Magneto out of prison.
Yeah, they're running through. He's running around like a kitchen. The sprinklers are going off. It's just total mayhem.
He's just moving bullets and knives out of the way.
And tapping people.
Yeah, it's just great.
Because how fast he's going, that amount of force is just going to
just
totally
pushes
mess those people up.
Just touches the guy's face and you just see the ripples go like across his face. He's just
super well done scene. So
and then when they end it, you just see the
aftermath, just
everybody just flying to the walls, and is great.
Definitely a better portrayal of Quicksilver.
Yeah.
A much more creative portrayal of him as well.
Yes. But also very crazy to see a Fox cameo show up in a Disney Marvel movie. So that was a huge surprise.
Yeah, so that alone was shocking because, I mean, Marvel and Disney just bought out Fox, last year. Mm-hmm. Or it was finalized early 2020. So, we knew that eventually we would see the X-Men,
But I think most people would have thought that they would have recast because they were talking about recasting Wolverine and...
Yeah,
so
which kind of leads to the point, and this is kind of leading into episode 6 as well, is that he's not necessarily Pietro.
Well, so here's the ongoing, and we can just riff here, but the ongoing theory.
Yeah.
Thank you. The ongoing theory here is that Mephisto, if those of you who don't know, Mephisto is a demon, and he can shapeshift. He can also influence people, much like the devil. And
he runs the Hell dimension in the Marvel cinematic, or in the Marvel universe for the comics. So he's the devil.
And but without calling him the devil, his name's Mephisto. And we think, at least Chad and I had a discussion about this, we think that Mephisto has played a number of characters already in the show, one of which being Evan Peters as Quicksilver. We will see in the coming episodes, but we should also talk about Agnes, for those of you who don't know who Agnes is.
Yeah, Agnes is the eccentric neighbor. She's been in every single episode. She's always there, at convenient times.
Especially when it comes to the kids who are now,
10 years old. They're
well, even when they were babies.
Yeah.
When they wouldn't stop crying, Agnes shows up.
Yeah, when they find a stray dog when they're 5-year-olds, Agnes shows up with a doghouse. Even in the first,
without knowing that they had a dog.
Yeah, and in the first couple episodes, she shows up with
what's her name? We should look up her name. We should mention who that
Catherine
is.
Hahn.
Is that her name?
Yeah, Catherine Hahn plays Agnes.
I have a weird crush on her.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
I think of all of her portrayals, and it's one of the most ridiculous portrayals because it's so not a testament to her as an actress. I just find her hilarious.
Don't say Step Brothers.
Is Step Brothers.
I knew it. I said to roll you up into a little ball.
Just feel you inside of me.
Oh, it's so fucking creepy.
When you roll around, it just be that's Dale. Super funny.
Oh boy. Anyways, we
so not a testament to who she is as an actress, because she is a phenomenal actress and she does have a wide range. Yeah. She can play really dramatic roles too, but man, I think that she's hilarious, and oh god, I just absolutely just can't get enough of her. But she's definitely that eccentric neighbor in the show, is her sitcom character.
And if you know the comics, there's a comic character named Agatha
Harkness, So it's kind of like the first part and the last part of her two names
are like
make
meshed
Agnes.
together.
So that's kind of like the
Agnes.
Yeah, the theory is that she is
And when
Agatha Harkness, who is she's a witch
from the 1700s?
Yep, from the Salem witch trials. It's basically where her story starts in the comics.
As we get into episode 6, which we're about to do in a minute here, you do see her. I'll just start it off, I guess.
Well, before we do that, let's take one quick break.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to our other sponsor.
Just edit that part out.
Oh, that's fine. Just a quick shout out to our other sponsor for today's episode is Raise Energy Drinks. What's up, nerds? I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about Raise Energy, an incredible energy drink that provides max energy with zero crash. Raise Energy takes a giant leap of faith with instilling a high-quality formula to bring a powerful, yet sustained, energetic experience to help you push your workouts and focus to the next level. Perfect for anyone at any time, empowered by their Refresh formula technology, Raise Energy delivers a performance-enhancing energy drink that aids in multiple different categories that include targeted focus, better recovery time, improved clean energy levels, and a boost in stamina and hydration. But most importantly, every can of Raise Energy has absolutely 0 calories, 0 sugar, and 0 carbohydrates to give you a smarter and healthier option. So don't settle for an energy drink that contains more sugar and carbohydrates than you can count. Instead, head over to repsports.com. That's REPPSPORTS.com and use the promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout for 15% off your order. Or if you don't know what you want, go ahead and click the link that's in the description to get a $50 sample pack for free. All you do is you cover the cost of shipping. Again, make sure you use promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout to let them know that we sent you. All right, guys, so we're actually going to cut the episode there. Jake and I, as we were talking and reviewing everything, we got a little carried away. So we want to try and keep our episodes right around the 1 hour length mark. So we're going to end episode 1 here. Episode 2 / part 2 of this first episode will be released at the same time. So it is available now. But we just wanted to make it as easy as possible without giving you a 2 hour long commitment to listen. But yeah, so this is the end of episode 1. Like I said, part 2 is already up. If you go to www.allthingsnerdpodcast.com, you can see all the great ways to listen to us, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify to Google Podcasts and a handful of third-party podcast apps, or you can just listen directly from the website. We just want to say thank you so much for listening this far, and we can't wait to share more with you. The rest of the episode, like I said, is in part 2, which is available now. Again, this is the All Things Nerd podcast, and thank you so much.